After Botvinnik tells him that, he says to Botvinnik, look, Misha, I hear you and I respect that. But if that's what it takes to be world champion, chess, nonsense, and analysis.
Yes, Watu, here we are again.
Yes.
So what are we discussing today?
Today we are discussing Carlsen's trade secrets, let's put it that way. Something that he does really well, which I think viewers can learn a lot from, and they can try and implement it, in their own games. He takes a certain lesson from a classical game, and is then able to use that in his own games. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same position, but that is able to then infuse that concept, so to speak. So yeah, a very powerful method, and actually I like that method because you get the feeling then that as you are studying chess, you are getting better, because the more concepts you know yourself, then you can also be able to implement in your own games.
Nice. Yeah, I like that, and I'm keen to see what you have in store for us. And it's good to hear that even Magnus Carlsen takes ideas from the older generation, the previous generation. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what Magnus is going to show us today, or what to show us what Magnus is going to show us.
Absolutely.
So yes, where are we starting?
Let's start first with the original concept. So we look at a game that Botvinnik played against Boleslavsky.
Okay.
They played this in the Soviet Union. I think one of the championships there. And let's jump into it.
Let's do it. Okay.
Now, before we get into the game, now one of my trainers was Grandmaster Ludek Pachman. And Ludek Pachman was a big personality, and he was very good friends with Botvinnik.
Who is he not friends with?
Look, if you actually met Ludek Pachman and understood his character, it's easy to see why he was friends with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Almost, it was very funny guy, life of the party type of thing, and very he was, so he could actually talk with everybody, and actually, as I mentioned in other episodes, we loved to ask our trainers about their stories, because they played against all most of these legends.
Yes.
And so he told us the story that he went to Moscow to go and visit Botvinnik.
Okay.
And they were at Botvinnik's place, and they hadn't seen each other for a while, so they had something to eat, and they were, talking and discussing old stories. And he had brought wine over, Ludek. So he takes out the bottle of wine, opens it, and then says, bring a glass. Let's share this beautiful wine. And Botvinnik says, no, I won't be drinking. So he says,
tournament coming up or something.
Well, what's going on? I mean, why are you not just one glass?
Mm.
He says, no. I've got a World Championship match coming up in 6 months' time.
6 months?
Yeah, in 6 months' time.
Okay.
And I don't want to touch alcohol. So Botvinnik, Pachman says, after Botvinnik tells him that, he says to Botvinnik, look, Misha, I hear you and I respect that. But if that's what it takes to be world champion, then it's okay.
Yes.
It's okay that I'm not going to be world champion, So yeah, that's just sort of like a nice story,
Nice. Dedication there of the legendary Botvinnik coming through there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So let's have a look at the game. So the game. Okay, starts normally, and bishop b5 check. So I'll just say a few things like in important positions. So here, because the pawn on d5 is going to be a weakness, the c8 bishop is a bad bishop, but bad pieces can be good defenders.
Yeah.
So if bishop d7, white would be happy to see that. So okay, the structure is defined. Black has got a weakness on d5, but as we know, this position, a lot of activity, the e file, the c file, and so on. So okay, knight b3, and here in this position, a normal move would be like bishop g5, something like this. This is normal, but Botvinnik comes up with a very interesting idea. He plays a bishop e3.
Interesting.
Very interesting idea. So his idea is that, as happens in the game, the exchange of the bishop happens. So now he stops the pawn from moving forward, but his argument is also that the d5 pawn is easier to attack. It's or rather much more difficult to defend than it is the e3 pawn.
Okay.
Right? Because the e3 pawn is closer to white, but the d5 pawn
slightly more extended.
Yes, right. And okay, so very interesting concept. So,
yeah, I think I've seen some ideas in Taviako. I'm sure there's hundreds of games, but Taviako with rook e1 and then bishop e3. But bishop e3 immediately, very interesting idea here.
Very. Yes. And okay, so let's go quickly past. Well, look, Boleslavsky did not want to test him further with this idea because he plays knight takes d4. I guess if bishop g6, maybe he could play rook f3, because the f file is also important.
Yes.
Maybe rook a to f1, maybe, and the king side is already, bishop can drop back to d3 at some point, the knight on d4 can land on f5, h4. Could be very dangerous.
Some ideas there.
Yeah. So anyway, he decides that he's going to go to this structure. So all right. So now we are back to just the isolated pawn on d5. Now comes the second interesting point. Well, these moves for black, because the knight on c5 is very difficult to move away, because you cannot play b6 because the pawn on a6 hangs, right? So decides to play a5. Now, for me, a very nice position that one can learn from as well. The issue is when you need to vacate the d3 square for the knight.
Yes.
But now the question is where to put the queen. Now, many players would not think hard about this. They'd play anything, queen d2 or queen anything, right? Just to get the knight to get to d3.
Yeah.
But it's very important that one also, well, we're learning this from the great Botvinnik. You must look at the opponent's pieces as well, and whatever is uncomfortable for the opponent, if you can make it stay there for longer, even better. The rook on f8 is out of the game.
Yeah.
Not in the game. Would like to move to either to ideally e8 or c8, d8, whatever, but it's not in the game. So he decides to put the queen on f3.
Okay, makes sense.
Stopping the rook from moving. Very nice, concept. Okay, knight g6. Basically anticipating that the knight will come to d3 to f4. So now the second concept is the knight on g6 is sort of on a bad square, and he wants to restrict it. So the idea here is always round about here, g3. So the idea is to play h4, and this is already a very interesting moment, because if black plays queen takes a4, white will just play h4. And here we can see the queen cannot get back, because should the queen move to c6, white would play h5, followed by the fork with knight e5. Oof. Right? But if the queen then does not, let's go back a little, if the queen does not come back, then white will play h5 and possibly knight e5, then h6. right? And huge attack against the king, and the queen is offside.
Nice.
The queen is not defending, so not able to take the pawn on a4. So all right, so
G3, nice move.
G3, very nice move. Okay, H4. Now after F6, you have to be careful, because if you play H5, the knight will go to H8 to F7 and back.
F5, yeah.
So, but F6 already has given you the E6 square, so he is going to it. And now, okay, we get to this position, and the end game. There's just one thing I want to touch upon here. This is it took me a long time from a technical point of view to sort of understand these positions and say, okay, I'm better, but how do I win this position? So, in rook end games, the secret is you need pawn breaks, because pawn breaks allow for weaknesses to happen in the opponent's position and in your own position. So, big move is b4. b4 is the key move that will come in the position. Because if I play b4, if you don't do anything, I'll take on a5, play rook b7, rook b5. If you take, I play c takes b4 and create a pass pawn on the a. But before I play b4, or rather, if I play b4, c3 would be a problem, right? Because it will be weak. So then we're starting to see the plan. Okay, I need to move my king. First and foremost, I'm going to lose the e file, because king f8 is coming. So I need to make sure that the rook cannot be active. And then afterwards, I'm going to have to move my king to d3, then play b4. That's the plan.
Yeah.
So, okay, rook b7. Now we see the idea, right? King f8, king f2.
Closer.
So if black plays, for example, rook e6, white plays rook d7.
Nice.
Yeah. So king e8, and now the king moves over. King e3, g5. Now king, you see, now we are ready to play b4. So very simple. Well, not simple, but I mean how he shows it. He makes it look so easy.
Yeah.
Right now b4. So now there's a problem. If black does nothing, check on a5, rook b5.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna get the a file, a6 pass pawn. If you do nothing, I push b5. You can resign. Plays b5, and here is 3. It's a relatively easy way we defend the pawn, and we've got the pass d. We've got the b. King is active, and here plays king e2. And
nice in game.
Very nice technique, right? Now let's go to the Carlsen game. So this game is played between Carlsen and against the super grandmaster from India, Pentala Harikrishna. And let's have a look at the game. So we'll go very quickly past the opening stages. It's a Queen's Indian, and okay. They've both hit the center, exchanges, and Queen b6. This move was criticized by many commentators. They thought bishop b7, but white should still be slightly better, but nothing major. And we reached this position. So not yet the influence from the Botvinnik game, but what I really admire by Carlsen, his ability to shift gears. He'll be playing a positional game, but if he sees a tactical detail, he'll squeeze in, like Karpov used to do. Small little tactics to push through. So he notices the bishop on a6 and the knight on c6, both on white squares. Maybe if the pawn can go to b5, it will be a fork. He notices the queen on b6, pawn on c5 on the same diagonal. So we could pin the pawn and then play this b4, and we have pressure. Right? So plays bishop e3, and brings all his pieces, and this happens. Bishop takes e2, and b4, rook c1, b4, h6. So this position, let's talk about this position. So clearly, white is slightly better. The pawn on d5 is weak, but black's position is not without its own possibilities. a5 is something that definitely can come, and there are some, because the knights can jump in. For example, if you made like rook c5, let's look at this as an example, right? I could play knight e4, and then if you play rook takes d5, I play knight c3. So exactly. So it's not a straightforward, thing. Now, it would be very interesting to figure out, or rather to see how long Carlsen took before he played this next move. But generally, if you look at black's pieces, the queen on b6 is one of the main driving forces that allows for the counterplays.
Yeah.
a5, maybe the queen can go to f2. I mean, putting pressure on f2, the knight can work with, but this queen is generally right. And here you can the viewer can think. I'll give you like 3 seconds. What would you play in this position? All right. So what he plays is queen e3. What a move!
Straight out of the Botvinnik manual.
Straight out of the Botvinnik manual. But actually here it's even better, or rather it works even better, because let's, for example, say queen takes e3. I play f takes e3. So now, I mean, I'm threatening bishop h3. This is the problem. I want to go bishop h3, and then rook c7, knight e5. You know, I'm getting into. So let's say you play knight e7, then I can probably play bishop h3 anyway to get the c file.
Yeah.
And this is very uncomfortable for black.
Yeah.
Because if I take the c file, I'm going rook c7 and knight d4. Very, very right.
Nice.
So yeah. And then we see now in a clearer way how easy the differences between the pawn on e3 versus the pawn on d5, right? You can tell that the pawn on e3 very difficult to get to, and even if you do, I just go king f2, king e2, something.
Yeah.
But d5 is in the way, right?
Yes.
It's like on the highway,
yeah.
Right? So after queen e3.
Queen to e3.
Queen e3, yeah?
Yeah.
Right. So queen e3, so Hare Krishna does not go for this, but now for the exchange. But now the c file becomes an important, because the bishop is controlling c8, right? And knight goes to d4. Now look at the white pieces. All of them in beautiful position, controlling the whole board. Okay, plays knight e4. Now we get to the 7th. Of course, if you take just rook takes, it's almost lost. And right now, we see this f3, bishop d7, like first moves, and then h4. So the knight is now going to be kicked out of the game. Well, he sacrificed the knight with knight takes f3, but I mean, if he plays knight h7, for example, I guess white would play something like rook e1, for example, and attacking the knight. Again, the knight has no squares. If you play queen f6, probably play the other rook to d1. You almost cannot move anything.
Wow. Yeah.
you cannot.
Beautiful placement here for white. Yeah, you can't do much.
Complete domination. Oof. Complete domination.
Yeah,
if you play knight f8, bishop h3, I mean, complete domination. So anyway, after he played h4, yeah, he well, desperation, but he's trying something.
Yeah.
Now comes a very impressive technical idea. First and foremost, now comes the second influence that we get from the Botvinnik game. We said, okay, with knight on g6, it's generally not in such a great position, yeah, and h5. So knight is restricted,
yes,
again, and knight goes to h8, and then bishop f5. So now we're going to attack the king.
Yeah.
Knight goes to e5, queen goes to c2. Beautiful maneuver. Wants to play like here, check, and queen f5. Incredible. Knight d7 is threatened.
Nice.
It's bad. I mean, you cannot even play rook 8 d8, because I play probably knight d7 anyway. Do I? No, maybe not. Because I want to play knight d7, but then queen takes d7.
Yeah.
Because the rook takes e2 is with check.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, although I can play rook takes e8, then afterwards, like rook d8, knight d7, queen takes d7, rook takes, if queen takes, rook takes queen. I should be winning for white somehow.
Even play something like king h1 or something, threaten knight
something,
d7.
Yeah, you just have such a dominating position, right?
Mm.
So it plays rook e7 and bishop g6, so brutal. And then knight takes f7, bishop takes, and resigns, because if knight takes f7, rook e8 check.
Clinical there by Magnus, but there's nice features there from the Botvinnik game.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Magnus using some of the tools that Botvinnik used there.
Yeah.
Nice examples there, Watu.
Yeah.
It's something that we can all learn from.
Absolutely.
You don't need to be the pioneer of everything. Just take some advice from the past champions or top players and build your knowledge.
Absolutely.
Okay. Is that enough nonsense for today?
That's enough nonsense for today.
I think that's enough nonsense, but instructive nonsense.
Nonsense for today.
All right, guys, if you liked what you've seen today, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and throw in a comment there in the comment section, and we will see you for the next one soon. Cheers.